And we're live on the Skulls and Knives podcast. Alright, I'm going to try and not look at the streaming thing because it's stressing me out because it's not lined up perfectly to how exactly the streaming service thing is. So, yeah. So I'm just going to pretend it doesn't exist and hope everything works out.
That's how I get through most of my life.
Alright. Ba-da-ba-da-ba. Okay, I can hear you and me better. And hopefully this is working, just so it's in case it's not. I'm also going to record this. Start recording. Alright. Welcome to the Skulls and Knives podcast, everyone. We got Brenton Dwyer here. We're gonna talk a little bit about the Lord's Day of Easter. And its pagan origins. And just talk. So, anyways, how did you spend Easter?
Well, I actually had a really hard decision to make because um, Bethany's family, well, her sister works at a hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and she just recently worked the COVID floor at the hospital.
Oh,
And so,
shit.
yeah, and like we had plans for today for them to come over and do like a lunch, and then we were going to go to my parents at night and spend the night with them. Uh, but my mom just got a pretty major surgery done, and she has RA. So we had to like kind of make a choice and just say, hey, for like everybody's sake, we're not doing anything.
Yeah.
And so this morning, Beth went to the store and she got the girls some Easter baskets, and we just kind of did our own thing here. We just did a little hunt out in the backyard and hung out as a family, and had a good day. But it was, I know it was really hard on both of the moms.
Mm.
They were like in tears because they couldn't see the grandbabies.
Yeah.
But it was just like, well, we gotta. I mean, call it taking something too drastic, but like you got to make a choice, like especially when you got little ones involved and there's like a direct risk like that.
Yeah. Yeah. How does she feel about all that? Like, working in that? Like, has she talked to you guys at all about that experience?
Not really. Their family's pretty like conservative, and I mean, I guess I am too to an extent, but they're buying up all of what Fox News is putting out there, which is just like, hey, this ain't no shit.
Uh-huh.
And so they're very much so like, this is no big deal, like at all.
Hmm.
Like, and so they were actually, I think, pretty upset with us for making that call. But it's like I mean, we're parents and we're new parents, so we're doing what we feel is right, and I don't know. That's it.
Yeah, no, I feel that. Can you move your cameras a little bit up so we can see your face? I don't know if
Yeah,
that's possible.
I didn't think anybody wanted
Oh, people want to see your face, dude.
to.
That's a
Is that
little better.
a
Maybe if
little
you
bit?
crouch
I'll
down.
scoot it back even more. How's that?
It's like I can see more and more of your arm.
Okay.
Like your
Um,
camera needs to go up a little bit. Like looking like down.
when I slide it back, it wants to fall, but
Oh yeah,
is that better?
that's way better. Let's hope it doesn't fall.
Okay. I don't think it will.
Cool. So you're saying that your your family member who's a nurse is the one who is like whatever about this whole thing?
I don't think she is so much. I think it's more like her parents, and she's young, so
Mm,
she's kind of like she's doing her job, you
yeah.
know. I don't think she really has an opinion built. I think she is a little bit more on the wary side, like we are. So she's probably more understanding than my mother-in-law is. But,
Hmm.
you know, I don't think that she has like a direct opinion on what all this is or if it's something to worry about.
Yeah, I feel like I've definitely come from where this was initially happening, being like, yeah, whatever. I think this is kind of blown out of proportion, but I'll go along with it. To every day being a little more worried about it and being like, oh shit, we really should do this. Like, especially when I like started making the masks and stuff, it was like, oh man, this is really real, and like we need to be taking this seriously. And so, um, yeah,
Yeah,
man, it's hard. It's hard when you
I,
don't. It's hard when you like don't personally know anyone with coronavirus. You know what I mean? It's just like
and
it
then,
seems almost like this distant thing.
yeah, yeah, and then you see the numbers and you're like, yeah, but it's there. Like,
Yeah, they're not lying. Like, and that's what bothers me about the people who think that this is all a conspiracy theory. Is, don't get me wrong, I'm all about conspiracy theories, but
you can't fraud lives. Like, you can't.
yeah, well, and it's also so I think about it this way: could you get 100 people to go all in on a conspiracy? Probably with the right amount of force, right? Can you get thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of people that are involved directly with these people who are
Yeah.
sick to go along with it? Probably not. Um, you're gonna have, if this was all fake, you would know. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like it's too big to be fake.
yeah, somebody's eventually going to be like, "Oh, by the way," you know.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that the the news outlets have been caught using footage from, like I was reading one today that CNN put out footage of like people waiting in line to go to the grocery store or somewhere, but it was actually a food line after Sandy had happened, the hurricane.
Mm.
Um, and they just reused the footage. And then there was another one where somebody reused the footage from a hospital in Italy when they were talking about a hospital in New York, and
Oh,
literally
wow.
just had the same exact video clip. Which, like, like I said, there's too many people involved for it to be a conspiracy theory, right? There's too many people involved for this whole thing to be fake.
Right.
But it doesn't
It
help
is
when
obvious.
media reuses dumb shit like that.
Yes, it's totally obvious hype, no doubt. Like there's no question about that.
Yeah.
Um, the only question is why.
Hmm.
What are you hiding? I guess.
Yeah, I think it's for me. I think it's less that they're hiding something and more editors just being lazy and them not having someone out there like, hey, go record a line at a grocery store. Rather than sending someone to go do that, they're just repurposing footage to get their point across. And so I think it's just lazy production. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, that means that every conspiracy theorist out there is going to point to that stuff and be like, "See, you're lying to us." And it's like, yeah, about that video clip, not like the whole fucking thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you can't botch lives. That's the thing. Like you can't just fake that. People that's that doesn't exist. I do think like the one thing that I saw that freaked me out, but again, it's like it's kind of a conspiracy theorist, and it came from Reddit, you know, so it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting sometimes, but it's a totally open source, like anybody could be posting that, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but like it was saying that China in the region of what is it?
Wuhan.
Wuhan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they basically put out like a notice to all their um, people and said, "Hey, if someone in your household dies, save us the trouble and cremate them at home, and then
What?
take the jar to your local funeral home, and they will store it for you." And so this basically was like an article that like some US or some journalist from another country had like gone in there and found that out and
Hmm.
was like, "Oh, okay, so they are lying about the numbers." And he went to like a few different funeral homes, and they were having up to 5,000 urns apiece that were taken there from Wuhan residents. So, like, these are people that weren't even included in the numbers that we were given by the CDC, you know? So it's like, that's kind of scary to think about that, like, there could be, like, in the country that it had originated from, they're covering up how horrible it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's a freaky thing, but it's also like, I don't know, I feel like we would have maybe seen more like rash consequences here by now, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. I don't know. What about you?
Well, I was just looking up the um trying to find that article. I see a bunch of stuff about like them having stacks of urns, but again, that might be just something that's buried. But um,
Yeah,
yeah,
again, I'm not quoting that as gospel truth. You know,
yeah,
I
yeah.
was,
No, no, no. I was just curious. I now since I now have my phone available, all of a sudden, it's hard to not look up stuff.
right.
But um, but yeah, that's kind of nuts. What was your question? I'm sorry. I was reading that shit.
You're good. Um, oh no, I was asking you what you thought about all that. But it's interesting. You know, I was telling a friend of mine tonight that like I wouldn't, I wouldn't call myself a conspiracy theorist. I don't get wound up in the what ifs,
Hmm.
but it's interesting that we're all in this place that's like what's about to happen because there is a lot of different things that could unfold uh, when you look at the cards that are being stacked. It's interesting to think about like the ways it could all play out. And my biggest fear, you can say COVID-19 is the biggest thing to worry about. I honestly think that in the next 6 months it'll probably be okay. Like, yeah, some people might die, but like, well, some people will die, but that'll probably be the end of it. What I worry about is economic collapse, the rate of unemployment, and like, I mean, just all that. The rate of homelessness. I think we're gonna see something like a Great Depression again, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly the same phenomenon, but I mean, look what predated the Great Depression, the Dust Bowl, another natural catastrophe. And so you could be right. This could turn into something way worse. I know a lot of people are hopeful that it'll quote unquote return back to normal, but what's normal now? You know? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, you're looking at possible economic collapse. You're looking at um, you're looking at what could be a change in cultural customs as well. I mean, like I'm sure Dr. Fauci was probably just over exaggerating to get his point across, but he said the other day on some uh, news show like that he doesn't think that we should ever like shake hands anymore. He doesn't think that's gonna be a thing anymore. Like being super close and all huggy all the time. He's like, that's not a good idea anymore with viruses
I
like
don't
this.
think
But
I could do that.
me neither. I could
Yeah,
I could not shake people's hands. I could see that not being a custom anymore. But the
dude.
whole huggy thing is like,
When I see you, I want to hug. You
oh
know,
yeah,
that's what I mean. Like I'm too much of a, I don't know. I'm a very physical person.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I understand the shaking hands. Like you're saying, cultural norms change and things like that. Yeah,
Hmm.
I could see that. But like with people that I'm close to, I don't think I would ever change the way that I am.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a dark place to go in the eyes of the leftist movement, but I often go to it as almost as like a solace when we talk about possible economic collapse and um, the world changing as we know it.
Because it brings about the idea of reform.
Yeah, and it it brings out the ability for people to do something about it, because I feel like a lot of times we're crippled in our complacency, right? So like I have an apartment, I can pay installments on my rent so that I'm not super super behind when this thing's all over. But the other part of me wants to sign on with the leftist movement and go on a rent strike like everyone else is doing. Not everyone else, but a lot of people are doing. Um, and things like that. I'm just like, I recognize that I'm in a spot where I don't have to do that, and part of me feels guilty for not doing it, but the other part of me goes, and which has won out in this decision, that I have to think about my family first and what's best for them. And what's best for them is paying installments on my rent, so that when I, get the stimulus check and get the stimulus unemployment extra money, I'll be able to actually just pay rent and not be behind. And
Yeah,
I wish that everyone had that option. And obviously people don't, but me personally going on a rent strike is not a smart move for me personally. Um,
yeah,
but that's just one example of if the economy tanks and everything goes to shit, although it will suck ass, it's gonna free up. Like what am I gonna have to lose? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, and I think time and time again you see it with, I mean, for instance, like the New Deal coming out of the Great Depression, you have this push to the progressive movement and progressive ideas in restoring balance, post apocalypse. And so, last apocalypse moment that we had in this country seriously was the Great Depression, and then you had the New Deal come about and help us through that, along with, unfortunately, World War II. Um, but I don't know. I just think I just think that if shit does hit the fan, we, as in the progressive movement, will have a foothold to actually do something and do something good. Um, Again, my worry is that you have the exact opposite of what that was, and that's what happened in Germany right before World War II, where you have a far right group rally the people, and that makes me nervous too. And so I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
the future is so uncertain that a lot of times I have to remind myself to prepare
Brace.
for the worst, but still hope for the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the best is, at least for me, is that we come out of this fine. We take some notes from the progressive movement through this. Maybe actually get some universal health care going, um, because that's a big hot topic out of this crisis. I mean, it's enough of a hot topic and a thing that people want that you have Donald Trump talking about possibly enacting some kind of permanent,
Implementing. Yeah.
yeah, and so, not even just for coronavirus, some kind of permanent basic health care funded by the government.
Did you hear about, was it Switzerland that's talking? No, it's Spain is talking about a universal basic income that's
Mm-hmm.
implemented forever, not just through the crisis. It's just implemented.
Yeah, that the UBI concept I think is a great idea. Um, I did not hear that Spain was talking about doing it, but that's
It's
something
re-
that, was it recent?
yeah, keep talking. My bottle of wine is right over there. I just need a refill.
Yeah,
But
go for it. Yeah, I'm drinking Moscato, by the way, out of a, well, that's got some weird lettering on it, so arguably a fancier glass, because mine doesn't have some basic white bitch read stuff on it. But anyways, what are you drinking?
California Roots Red Blend. Um, yeah, I don't know if it's let's see. Doesn't say. But yeah, I like dry reds. So,
Yeah, me too. Right now I'm drinking Moscato though.
um, yeah, I like Moscatos and I like, I like white wine even. I just, if I had my choice, a dry red for any occasion is perfect.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I was talking on the pod with Maddie last week, and I was telling her too that, yeah, I like white wine, but I mainly drink it because that's the wine Hannah likes. So rather than buying, you know, two bottles, just buy one. You know, something we can
Exactly.
share. So
And then every once in a while, you're like, it's only $10. I'll get myself the one.
hmm,
Like, but only every
exactly.
once in
Only every once in a while. But
a
yeah,
while.
I think we'll see. Like you said, UBI. We were talking about UBI. Yeah, that's what like Yang was running his whole campaign on, was
Yeah,
UBI. And I think that's super important, especially looking into the future of, um, production switching more and more into automated production. You're going to have less and less labor jobs, etc., and more people. And so you're going to have a lot more people without jobs. Um, and I think I've mentioned this to you before too, but like eventually you're going to have a program that can write code to do the things you want it to do. And so eventually you're going to have possibly a lot of programmers that are like basic coder dudes be out of a job as well. And so this is all like my argument for communism. It's all gonna. I feel like it's all the leftist movement is inevitable, regardless of what it looks like. Um, exactly. But if we're going to survive as a species and move on and not let people fall into dystopia, you're going to have to look at the leftist socialist views of things because those guys have the answers. um, yeah, it's just my opinion.
Yeah. We differ a bit on that, but I definitely have reached a point where I'm like, yo, as far as left and right goes, there I truly believe there has to be a mix. Um, but it can't be. But even saying that, it goes against like what I believe because I don't believe in a two-party system
Yeah, me neither.
also. So it gets tricky for me like when I talk about this stuff because I I understand like the core concept of conservatism and I agree with it. And at the same time, the older I get, the more I like look at left ideas and I go, "Oh, no, that like they're onto something there." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
um, so it's weird, but dude, it was so funny. By the way, you mentioned Maddie being on your podcast last week,
Hmm.
and me and Beth turned on the YouTube thing on the TV, and we were just like watching you guys, and what we were watching you talk to her,
Hmm.
and I was just having the best time. I was like, oh my God, I get to sit here on my living room couch and watch my best friend talk to basically my other little sister. Like, this is great. And but it's so funny because you asked her like, where are you at with like faith, you know? And everything she said was almost like exactly where I'm at, you know?
Hmm.
I I was just like, yeah, like, like
Exactly.
it was so funny, bro. But um, yeah, it was really good hearing you guys.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun talking to her, but I said but like I feel like but is my filler word. And I need to stop saying it because it's way more
I
as
like
we butts and I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny. When a girl walks in with an itty bitty waist and a round thing in your face, you get sprung.
we're probably not synced, so that probably sounded horrible, but you know, it
No,
works.
no, no. So we're I so I tested this out with Hannah earlier, and although our lips are not in sync, like right now while I'm doing it,
Our voices are.
our voices are in sync right now while I'm doing it. And then when I actually looked back at the live stream, everything was fine. So I'm just hoping that it all works out and it's not too weird. Um,
I think it's okay.
yeah, I mean, I guess we'll
Great.
fucking see, right?
I don't regret doing it. Do you regret doing it?
Not, not currently.
Okay, maybe in the morning.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of religious stuff, it's always interesting to me seeing like sorry to pivot back to Easter, but it's something that's always interested me about Christian religions specifically because it's so dominant in the world, um, and how much of them are blatantly, at least the traditions of surrounding the each holiday, um, just so
With
blatantly
pagan things.
stolen from paganism. Like,
Yeah.
and then you look back at the history, and it's like, oh yeah, yeah, this the pagans were doing these traditions in some sort of way
Oh,
for a long time,
they,
and then
they
the
have no
Christians showed
idea.
up and were like, hey, by the way, this means you like Jesus now, and if you don't, then we're gonna kill you. So like Jesus, and they're like, okay, I guess we like Jesus now. Um, and the ones
Exactly.
that weren't died.
I know.
And you wonder why Christianity is the most dominant, or one of
It's
the
because
two
you died.
dominant. Yeah,
It's
you
because
either convert or die.
yes. Do you love Jesus? Yes, I do.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'll show up to Easter service. I don't care.
You're not gonna wait. Let me get this straight. You're not gonna cut my head off if I show up to church on Sunday.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
I will be there front and center, Captain.
Right? Um, and yeah, and I mean, and like researching the history of these um, pagan religions and whatnot, it's sad to see how much of it is just verbally passed down, um, and so much of it not written down. And that's partially because some cultures just didn't write shit down, and that's also partially because by the time that they did start writing things down, the Christians were already there,
And
shoving
dominate.
and dominating and shoving shit down their throats. And
Yeah.
so a lot of the texts that we have about these religions are actually from like the early monks that first got there and were writing these pagan traditions down, which ironically is all the information you need to know that Christianity stole a bunch of these religions, because these monks and early Christians were writing everything down. Like, for instance, Easter is one of
Yeah.
them. Like, one of the oldest like references to Easter at all is from this 19th century or 18th, I don't remember, 19th century or 18th century monk who's talking about this goddess Estro, um, which is based around a holiday in the Germanic tribes uh, in Europe, that is a whole month of basically spring named after basically the goddess of rebirth for these Germanic tribes. And it's like literally just completely like, hey, yeah, they celebrate this thing where like this whole month they like, celebrate eggs because they're, a symbol of fertility, and they, are constantly talking about bunnies because they reproduce so much and they're coming out of their burrows reproducing like crazy right in spring. Um, and
So April.
yeah, exactly. So April essentially was this whole month of like pagan rituals and traditions based around this one god. And so, and then right after that, the Christians twisted it because they were like, hey, you can still celebrate this stuff, but you're gonna have to make it about God.
Yeah. Just throw some Jesus in there, and you can still have the Easter bunny. Yeah.
Exactly. Do you
It,
remember those little eggs, just like this one? Oh, you can't see it. So the
I.
Naruto figure I have,
Yeah.
he has a little egg on him.
Does he?
Yeah, I put a little Easter egg on him for the podcast.
That's awesome.
Anyways, oh yeah, by the way, guys, Brenton can't see me. That's the next thing I have to figure out. Um,
Yeah. I know. It's a downer. I wish I could. I miss your face.
I miss your face too. Luckily, we have that app. What's it called again? I'm blanking on the name.
Marco Polo. It's
Marco
pretty
Polo.
great. I can send you. It was funny because the other day I was like, "Hey, babe, you've always wanted to see me dump glass," and so like I just turned it on while I was at the dump and like put it up on my little shelf. And I dumped all my glass, like just throwing shit out the fucking trailer, and she was like, "Oh my god, like that looks very therapeutic." I'm like, "Yeah, that's how I get all my anger out."
Hell yeah.
So,
I wish I had glass. Maybe I should just start doing that off the balcony.
just throw glass.
Yeah.
Nobody will get mad.
Yeah, no one. No one goes out in that grass anyways, except for me going and grabbing toys the kid threw off the balcony.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it's really pretty where you're at though, like out that balcony. When you sent that first one. It was all green, and yeah, you have that road, but like, man, it's so pretty. I love it up there.
Yeah, it's really pretty, and I don't think I can see it from my balcony, but on like the drive home, I can see. I think it's Mount Hood. I think it's Mount Hood. Anyways, it's this huge fucking mountain, and it's always
Yeah,
snow capped, almost year
yeah.
round, and
I
it's
I
gorgeous.
drove by it. Yeah, I
So pretty.
that trip that we took for your wedding
Hmm.
will forever be one of my favorite memories with my wife.
Yeah.
Um, because we had like I remember like we had just started smoking weed too, and we like brought some with us, and we stopped multiple times in like little beach towns on the way up there. I took like a week and a half off work, so
Hmm.
like we took our time getting there, and we were just stopping in like Northern California and like staying in a random ass beach town, and then like stopped shortly before we got to you guys and stayed one more night somewhere, and we would just like go out to the beach and like smoke a little J and like watch the waves and just oh my God. And then we got to you guys and spent, some time with you guys, which was so fun. And then, drove back, and that was just a great trip. I had so much fun.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it's funny, like when I first moved here, like how much I loved the scenery, and it's still pretty, but like I've gotten used to it, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm not like constantly like, oh my gosh, look how pretty it is. Oh my gosh, look how gorgeous it is. And it's funny because when I go back to Arizona, this thing that I grew up in, and right before I left, I was like writing poems about how much I liked seeing trees because I would see them like so occasionally, like big pine trees in a forest. And
And lately you've been writing about the desert.
yeah, I mean, I haven't been writing much poetry at all lately, which I have enough time now. I should start again, but
You still play music?
I have an acoustic guitar I pick up occasionally.
Same here. But you should, man. I miss your songs.
Yeah, if anyone wants to look up some funny shit Brenton and I worked on right before I
Oh,
moved here, you should go on SoundCloud and look up Gimpy Moose.
it's so good.
Gimpy Moose, like a gimp leg. It's so
I
funny.
still I still listen to it to this day.
Me too. I was just listening to it the other day, going, "Oh my god, I cannot believe that I
We
wrote this shit." It's not that they're bad songs
No,
necessarily.
they're
It's just
not.
it's just so funny how bad we recorded them and how
Ugh.
how
Dude,
odd it
I,
was.
I I went back and listened to my "Are You an Angel" album recently, and I was like, oh, like why? Why did I even think it was acceptable?
Yeah, I feel like that listening to the stained glass. Like we knew that Gimpy Moose was just for fun, so I
Yeah,
don't necessarily
yeah,
think bad of that. It's just like funny.
yeah.
But when I look back at like the stained glass window project that I did,
I love that one still, though, bro. Names it is like every time I hear that song, I'm just like, okay, that's my bro. Like, there's an
yeah.
essence of you in that song that's like really good. I like it.
Well, thank you. I just always look at it and go like, with hindsight, like, man, I wish I would have taken like another 2 weeks with those songs and really perfected them because they're both very repetitive to me. But yeah,
That's not always a bad thing, bro. Some of the best songs, and I'm sorry, but like, especially a song that hits so deep, it can be repetitive.
hmm,
It's like Mad World. It never changes the tune, but it never stops killing you.
yeah,
Like it every verse you're like, oh fuck. It's just that's I mean, I'm sorry, like it's kind of a dark song, but Names, every time I hear it, I'm just like, oh, this is so good. Like I bask in it, like even though it's only three chords and, just you singing a couple lines, but it's so good, you know? I don't know.
Well, thank you. I'll take the compliment.
Yeah, just fucking take it, man. So,
Yeah, that's something that I I miss a lot. Like,
you
not.
should, bro.
I mean, it's like. Well, I definitely don't have an excuse now, but before, being before the shutdown, running the food program at a place and then taking care of two kids, it's it's like, when do I find the time to write? And so
Yeah,
the
I feel the same way.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I feel the same way. Like, I have a desire to keep it up, but it's hard. So,
Yeah, I think maybe just writing poetry might be a good way for me, because every time I pull out the guitar and those kids are around, they want to
you're
play with
stuck.
it. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
they want to
that
play
too.
with it and they want to fuck around with it, which is fine. I think it's cool. So, like, when I do pull out the guitar, I am never like, oh, I'm gonna write something. Usually, it's like, oh man, I really like this song, and I can hear that it's really simple to play, and so I kind of want to, like, just learn how to play it because it's super simple. And so, like, a lot of times I'll just do that, and then it takes 5 minutes to, like, learn which chords are getting used, and I play for them for a little bit, and I feel satisfied, and then they get to play with the guitar, and so.
That's pretty much what I do too. I don't do much writing anymore, but I did about a month ago. I finally wrote a song, but I spent 10 minutes on it when Beth was in the shower.
Hmm.
And I just came up with like this bare bones thing. But I really miss it, man. And what I've said to Beth is just like music means so much to me. Um, Even if it's just something that I do for myself. But even then, like when I'm sitting around a campfire and I sing for people, they get something out of it. They like it. So, but even if it's just for those moments, because I remember when I was sitting around a campfire and somebody else did that, and I was like, oh man, I felt that, like I don't know, like even if it's just for those moments, I'm always gonna have it with me, and I'm going to pursue it because I love it, if that makes sense. So.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. I yeah, it's I I find myself trying not to, but more often than not, getting into, like, musical ruts, where it's, like, hard for me to find new music. Because, I mean, a lot of times when we were growing up, like, I mean, I was going to shows sometimes 3, 4 times a week.
Dude, I feel the same way. I feel stuck on artists all the time.
Yeah, I'm like, who else is out there? And then, like, I
Right?
try and find people, and I'm like, I don't like any of this shit. And
Yeah,
I
I
go
know.
back.
You're like, I just want to listen to this guy again. But I'm kind of sick of him, but I will.
Yeah, that's how I feel about, like, Sturgill Simpson and that album Sound of Fury. I'm not sick of it yet. However, I more often than not think to myself, what do I want to listen to? Oh, I should find something new. Nah, I'm just gonna turn on Sound of Fury.
Right? I'm gonna see if this cricket is still going.
Oh, I can't hear him. If that makes you feel any better.
Hang on. I'm not out here yet. Can you hear him now?
No.
Okay, good. Yeah, that album, dude, is way different than his other stuff, and I really like it. Um, but it is totally different. And have you listened to more of his stuff?
Oh yeah, I've listened to all of it. Like, I would honestly say my favorite song of his, even though it's his most popular, is uh,
Turtle.
"Turtles All the Way Down." Um, by the way, listeners, if you haven't listened to that song, go listen to it when you're
So
done with this. It's so good. It's all about
it's just
psychedelics.
true.
What's that?
It's just truth. Don't
Yeah.
say psychedelics. It freaks people out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kidding.
Dude,
But go
yeah.
ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, speaking of psychedelics, that's something I want to get into so bad. Like,
Yeah, I have a friend that has some DMT that she's offering, and I'm like, but
yeah. Well, that's the thing is like I kind of want to do a mushroom high
I've
first,
done that.
just to just to feel it, like get a taste for it a little bit, and then like I don't even want to like dip my toes into anything other than DMT after that. I feel like I just want
I'm the same way.
I just want to get to the end. You know what I
And
mean?
honestly, DMT for me is more of a probably a one-time thing. And it's more because it's the same chemical that's released when your life flashes before your eyes, when you have a near-death experience. So we all fear death. Let's get out of the way.
Damn.
Like, why worry about it anymore?
Yeah, I just now I don't mean God literally, but I just want to see God already. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like it the way DMT trips are described to me
Have you
is
ever watched them on YouTube?
no, I have not.
You
I've only
should.
heard people talk about them post. It's just like 15 minutes of the most insane shit ever.
And
Prob
you and
so
it feels like it's 45 minutes to 2 hours sometimes.
yeah, and you're just like talking to the other side.
Yep.
It's like
Like
holy shit.
literally.
Yeah. It's
It's in my opinion, it's your first glimpse of reality.
yeah.
In my opinion, that's what it is. It's I mean, you can call it the Matrix or whatever, but like there's something like that. There is definitely, you know, there's an element of truth to universalism and like the idea of other dimensions, you know, realms, whatever you want to call them. Like there's other things out there that you can't see.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've talked about the idea of like a universal consciousness before, but I know we have. I don't know why I said I think. Um, but all these psychedelics just seem to point to exactly that. And like I've had mild psychedelic experiences in my life through meditation while high smoking weed or whatever. Um, but nothing super serious. Uh, but I just kind of want to
Tap into it
connect.
a little more.
Yeah, I don't want to try LSD. I don't want to try taking tabs of acid, anything like that. That's like super chemically that I can't
Yeah.
trust. It's like I want to do some mushrooms, do a mushroom trip, and then I want to get straight to the DMT because that's the good shit apparently, and that's where you're because my like I said, my goal is to try and tap into the other side. So why would I do all these milder psychedelics before? You know,
Right.
like I want to get to the goal. I want to do that thing. That's the thing I want to do. And so,
Yeah. It's I feel the same way. Um, I never ever thought that I would be interested, but the minute that I smoked weed and I sat there in my chair and like I remember telling Brandon because I lived with him at the time. I was like, bro, like a DNA strand, how it has the like the halo effect, it spins.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can literally feel things in my brain connecting. And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "No, dude, like I feel things connecting. Like I feel things getting better."
Mm-hmm.
And he was like he didn't understand it. And I was just like it's so hard to explain to a person that's never experienced it. But it is like there's actually scientific studies of what it's doing. I forget what it's called, but it puts you into a state where it forces any kind of like memory or pain that you're dealing with, it forces you to deal with. And so like that's why people have bad trips and stuff, is like if they're, like they haven't dealt with something internally,
Mm-hmm.
uh it'll creep back up, and like you're focused on that. And it's actually a really good thing because you're dealing with it now. Um, but yeah, I'll never forget those first, like the first 2, 3, 4 weeks. Sometimes I'd smoke and like everything was fine. And then every once in a while, especially if I smoked a sativa,
Mm-hmm.
like all of the demons that I was dealing with would just creep back in, and I would just sit there and my head would spin on a loop and just play everything that I didn't want to play. It would just play it in the most vivid, colorful, disturbing way all day.
Mm-hmm.
I'd just be at work fucking throwing windows in, and this shit was playing in my head. And it was like so hard, but I kept doing it because I was just like, for some reason, I feel like I'm getting better. Like,
Yeah.
and eventually, like, I mean, dude, my wife and I survived that. Not a lot of people survive that,
Mm-hmm.
so that's, I mean, you can call it a crutch. You can say that I went to it for that reason, but I mean, I'll tell you something different,
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I think like my experience with weed came about right before I moved here. I was in Arizona, and a friend of mine um, gave me a hitter. I think he gave me the hitter, or I bought the hitter. I don't remember. I think
like
I
a
bought the
one
hitter.
like one of those chaloons, like the glass one hitters.
Well, it was a metal one hitter, but yeah, just a one hitter. Um,
Yeah,
and
you just pack the end and light it.
hmm um, and yeah, I remember like feeling so happy and like and then I went and I ate pizza and watched some stand up comedy. I think I watched Tom Segura that night. But
So great.
did you say?
So great. I love Tom.
Oh yeah. By the way, guys, if you're bored, go look up Tom Segura Ball Hog. It's his new stand up special. It's fucking great on Netflix. It's hilarious. Watch all of
It
his
is.
shit. Anyways,
And Bert Kreischer.
and Bert Kreischer, yes, Bert's shit's up too. I saw the new one. I'm blanking on the name of it. That was hilarious. That one that I can't remember the name. I was crying, laughing on the floor
Yeah.
while super high, but crying, laughing, laying on the floor watching it like a couple
He's
weeks
so
ago.
good.
Oh my god, it's so funny.
They're all so good. I I love those guys, man.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, I didn't like really get high on weed until I moved here. On weed, like it's like you're on heroin or something. Smoking weed until I moved here, And yeah, I've just had some crazy, almost lucid dreaming moments while meditating after smoking weed, um, that don't even make much sense. Just trying to like figure out what it all means, lots of symbolism. And
Yeah.
so, like, for instance, one I remember pretty vividly because it actually was like 3 times in a row I had the same experience. I was in a house, it was apparently mine, and there was like a pool inside the house that was like the yin yang, right? So, like, half the water was black, half the water was white, and there was
Yeah.
like there was like luminescent koi fish swimming through it. Um,
That's interesting.
yeah, and like then there was like this family there that like was saying that I don't belong there and I need to go, and their eyes were all black. And then like I stepped outside because it was too crazy, and I like stood in the sun for a second, and then I came back in, and my little brother's just like chilling in the pool, like on like one of those like lazy floats, just like laying
Yeah.
there. And I was like, what is going on? And then it like slowly and almost with him without a care, he just like sinks into the pool and disappears. And then I like felt drawn to go in, so I went in, and then like I'm almost seeing myself from top down in the center of this like yin yang symbol, black water, white water, and it like turns into a crazy drain, and I got like slipped down into it in like a fear and panic, and like I snapped out of it. Like 3 days in a row this happened. Like the same shit. This was several years ago, but I haven't really experienced anything as vivid since. Mainly because I've been lacking on meditation lately, but uh yeah, that was the craziest shit that and like I said, those mild psychedelic experiences of like it felt so real. Not like a normal dream. It was so real. And I was
No,
like,
it's
what the
yeah,
fuck?
I battle with every day because I am a functional stoner.
Mm-hmm.
I smoke every day, pretty much all day. Um, and I understand what you're saying. Like, I feel that it awakens me to people's energies. Like, I can read people a whole lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can feel I mean, people think it's insane that I'll smoke and then go do windows and I'll be up on ladders and, hanging off a second floor, climbing up scaffolding, lifting a 400-pound window out of a thing. Like, and it's just like, no, you don't understand. Like, I'm now more in control. I feel everything so much better now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm completely balanced. I'm completely there, and they don't understand that. And that's okay, I guess, but it is frustrating. You deal with, as like a regular stoner, I I deal with like self-hatred a lot because I was raised to think of it a certain way. So I sit there and I'll bag on myself and just be like, "Oh, you're dependent on this thing and that makes you weak." But it's like, yeah, but when you see who I become when I'm not smoking, which is just this kind of like emotional wreck of a person that has no, I don't know, dude. Like, I just feel that it sets me right.
Mm-hmm.
And for people to say otherwise, it does get to you, because it's something that is natural. And it's something, the biggest thing I say to Christians is, there is an ECS, an endocannabinoid system within all of our central nervous systems that only wakes up to THC.
Mm-hmm.
It only, so why would a creator make our bodies with that if this thing is devil's lettuce?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, and I mean, like, cannabis wasn't even really looked down upon in general culture until,
the 20s.
yeah, when people started, first of all, calling it marijuana, which is a Spanish slang term for uh, like wild tobacco, like bootleg tobacco, um, and they started associating it with immigrants and such, and started demonizing it, which of course the conservative Christian base ate up like a motherfucker. And
Oh, yeah.
so, same way they ate up, uh, uh, whatchamacallit, where, why can't I think of the name of it? Where they banned alcohol. I don't know why.
Pro-
Prohibition. Thank you, Hannah. Shout out to Hannah. Um,
I,
what?
I said, hi, Hannah.
Oh, Brenton says hi. She says hi back. Um, but yeah, and like before that shit, like you had like marijuana bars, like people like smoked weed all the time. And
Oh,
so,
and I mean, they found even in like Jerusalem when they were digging people up, like, finding the old cities of, Nineveh and all those ancient Babylonian cities. Uh, they found that people always had sacks, and in the sacks they would have cannabis and they would have mushrooms almost always. That was something that they used constantly.
mhm,
Um, and it, like, why do you think Rome fell, man? It's because, I mean, it's because, in my opinion, too much control, you know,
mhm,
and that's one of the things they did was they banned cannabis because they believed that it made the people think too freely. And you're right, it does.
yeah,
Um, but that's not a bad thing, you know.
no, not at all.
That's, in my opinion, that I mean, freaking Elon Musk went on Joe Rogan and smoked. Like that's one of the most brilliant men that's ever lived, and he smokes. So
Yeah,
you can say that stoners are idiots, or you can just realize that some people just want to calm down and break away for a minute because this is all a little bit too much.
yeah.
But
Well, anyways, we're about at time. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
no, dude, I just love coming on here and having these talks with you. It's fun.
Yeah, me too. Maybe next time I'll have the webcam figured out. I think if I get when I get another webcam that'll be like better quality, I think I can isolate it so that that's streaming onto the YouTube. And then the other webcam would be free for Skype to see.
Oh, okay.
I think that's how I'm gonna end up doing it.
That'll be perfect.
Hopefully. All right, dude. Thanks for coming on. Um, love you, bro.
I love you.
Hi, Bethany.
Hi.
Just wanted to say hi.
Hi.
All right.
Miss you guys.
Miss you too. Okay, bye. Okay, I think he's ending it. Yep, he ended it. He ended it. Okay, cool. Exit out of that. No. Not wish to exit. Okay. There I am, all big. Alright, so, anyways, thanks for tuning into the Skulls and Knives podcast. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. Make sure you check out the website, anchor.fm/skulls and knives. Make sure you check out the link for Rogue American Apparel if you need some American shit or face masks and stuff. They sell those now. They're still giving away a free muscle car. And let's see, what else is there? Oh, there's a merch store now out of Europe for the podcast. Sorry, everyone. You have to pay in euros. But there's also a link below, so make sure you check that out. And yeah, happy Easter. Deuces.